Introduction Volume 7 begins after Eris leaves Rudius without explaining her true reason. Ruddy is alive, but emotionally he feels abandoned, and the snowy northern land reflects the emptiness he is carrying inside. Rudius wakes in a room that feels quiet and cold. The absence of Eris hurts more than any monster wound, and he cannot understand why the person he trusted most suddenly disappeared. He begins traveling alone through the northern territories. The wide snowfields make him look small, showing how isolated he feels after losing both his companion and his direction. Even when he uses magic, his power no longer feels exciting. It becomes a tool to survive, while his heart remains stuck on the same painful question: why did Eris leave him? Rudius reaches Rosenberg, a cold frontier city filled with adventurers, taverns, guild work, and rumors. He hopes that if he keeps moving, he can search for Zenith and distract himself from grief. Event 1 Rudius After Eris leaves at the Adventurers Guild, Ruddy studies the available requests and begins rebuilding his life through work. Taking jobs gives him structure, even though the sadness inside him remains unchanged. He notices posters and rumors about missing people, dangerous monsters, and northern expeditions. Searching for Zenith becomes his public reason to keep going. But privately he is also running from heartbreak. Inside the tavern, Ruddy meets the adventurers who will shape this volume. The party Counter Arrow is warm, loud, and ordinary in a way Ruddy has not experienced since traveling with Eris and Ruijerd. Rudius joins Counter Arrow on a snowy expedition. The group gives him a temporary place to belong, and for the first time in a while he does not have to walk through the cold completely alone. Their mission quickly turns dangerous as monsters attack in the snow. Ruddy's magic protects the group, but the battle also proves that teamwork matters just as much as raw power. Event 2 Arrival in Rosenberg. The party faces a deadly monster in the mountains. The size of the enemy and the frozen landscape make this job feel far more serious than simple guild work. Sarah fights bravely in the middle of the chaos. Her courage catches Ruddy's attention, and he begins to see her not as just another adventurer, but as someone with real strength and pride. Rudius unleashes powerful magic to turn the fight around. His talent impresses the party, but the scene also shows that his strength cannot fully protect him from emotional pain. After the battle, the group gathers by the fire. The warmth of Counter Arrow contrasts with the cold outside, giving Ruddy a brief taste of companionship again. Sarah and Ruddy speak in the snowy town, and their connection begins quietly. She is direct and sometimes sharp, but she also gives him attention that makes him feel seen. Event 3 The Adventurer Guild and New Work. A meal with the party gives the story a lighter mood. Ruddy laughs and listens, trying to act normal, while the support of others slowly softens the loneliness around him. Ruddy and Sarah walk together under the town lights. Their relationship is still fragile, but the possibility of something warmer begins to appear. The celebration in the tavern makes Ruddy feel included. Counter Arrow treats him as a companion, and that acceptance becomes one of the first steps in his recovery. Ruddy and Sarah grow closer in a private moment. For Ruddy, this is not just romance, it is hope that he might still be wanted after being abandoned by Eris. The first act closes with Ruddy sitting alone again. Even after companionship and battle, his unresolved trauma remains, waiting to surface at the worst possible moment. Event 4 Meeting Counter Arrow. Rudius struggles after an intimate failure with Sarah. What should have been a hopeful step forward becomes another wound, because it confirms the insecurity Eris's departure left inside him. The tavern becomes a place of painful noise. Soldat, a blunt and rough adventurer, notices Ruddy's condition and approaches him in a way that is harsh but strangely honest. Soldat's words cut through Ruddy's excuses. He does not comfort Ruddy gently, but he forces him to face the fact that self-pity is starting to swallow him. Sarah watches from a distance, confused and hurt. She does not fully understand what Ruddy is suffering from, and that misunderstanding creates distance between them. Ruddy leaves the town again, still carrying shame and frustration. The cold night outside mirrors his emotional state after the failed connection with Sarah. Event 5 Sarah and the Snowy Mission. Sarah stands in the snow, proud but wounded. Her feelings are complicated because she cares about Ruddy, but she also feels rejected and embarrassed by what happened between them. Rudius collapses emotionally during a harsh northern journey. The depression he tried to outrun finally catches up with him, and even his magic cannot fix what is broken inside. Soldat drags Ruddy into work and danger rather than leaving him alone. His method is rough, but it keeps Ruddy moving when Ruddy might otherwise sink completely. The tavern and guild board become Ruddy's new routine. He takes jobs, listens to rumors, and begins learning that survival sometimes means moving one step at a time. A mission leads Ruddy back into the snow, where monsters and blizzards force him to focus on the present. Battle becomes a temporary escape from his own thoughts. Event 6. Trust forms in battle. Ruddy's magic burns through the storm. Even in despair, he remains incredibly capable, and the story contrasts his outer strength with his inner fragility. A brutal fight leaves the group battered. The northern region does not forgive weakness, and every expedition reminds Ruddy that emotional pain is not the only danger he faces. Soldat and the other adventurers discuss the situation around the fire. Ruddy begins to understand that this world is full of damaged people who keep living anyway. The group prepares for another dangerous rescue. The mood grows darker, because this time someone important may already be trapped beyond reach. A monster ambush in the forest turns the mission into a fight for survival. Ruddy must act quickly, not as a broken boy, but as a mage others are relying on. Event 7. Saving Sarah. The battle becomes fierce and chaotic. Ruddy pushes himself through the danger, showing that even when his heart is wounded, his instinct to save others remains strong. Ruddy finds Sarah in terrible condition and carries her out of the snow. This rescue becomes one of the major emotional moments of the volume, because he cannot abandon someone who reached toward him. Around the campfire, the party watches over the injured Sarah. The silence after battle feels heavy, but it also shows that the group has become more than just temporary co-workers. Sarah wakes and speaks with Ruddy in a vulnerable moment. Their feelings are real, but they are also tangled in pain, pride, and poor timing. Ruddy and Sarah face each other honestly. Their connection matters, but the wounds between them cannot be solved by one rescue or one apology. Event 8. A fragile new bond. Ruddy enters another snowy city with a stronger sense of purpose. He is still hurt, but he is no longer drifting quite as helplessly as before. He walks through the streets and sees a world that keeps moving. This contrast matters even when his personal life feels ruined. The wider world continues demanding choices. At the guild counter, Ruddy accepts new work. Repeated jobs are not glamorous, but they help rebuild his confidence piece by piece. The guild hall becomes a place where Ruddy's name slowly spreads. His strength, reliability, and strange sadness make people remember him. Counter Era welcomes Ruddy again, and the party dynamic begins to feel more natural. He does not fully belong yet, but the gap is smaller than before. Event 9. The failed night and misunderstanding. The team shares food and conversation, creating a warmer rhythm around Ruddy. These everyday moments are important because they show healing happening quietly. A handshake seals a new stage of trust. Ruddy is learning that companionship does not erase pain, but it can keep someone from facing it alone. The party sets out together into the snowy wilderness. With allies beside him, Ruddy's journey feels less like exile and more like a difficult road forward. They track monsters through frozen mountains. The story uses the harsh environment to show that Ruddy's recovery is not smooth or easy. Every step has resistance. The group faces a huge snow beast, and the fight demands coordination. Ruddy's magic creates openings, but everyone has to contribute for survival. Event 10. Sarah leaves in anger. The battlefield shakes with earth and ice magic. Ruddy's power is cinematic and impressive, yet the emotional focus remains on his growing ability to work with others. A second wave of monsters forces the party to adapt quickly. Volume 7 repeatedly shows that adventuring is less about glory and more about staying alive together. After the battle, the team stands among fallen monsters and falling snow. Victory feels satisfying because it was earned through risk and trust. Night around the campfire allows the party to breathe. In these quiet scenes, Ruddy starts to feel that he can sit among others without pretending quite so much. Sarah reaches out gently to Ruddy, whether romantic or not. that simple kindness matters because Ruddy has been starving for reassurance. Event 11, Soldat confronts Rudius. Another companion encourages him as well, reminding Ruddy that multiple people now see value in him. The support is not dramatic, but it keeps him moving. The group looks out over the mountains, and the view feels like a pause before transition. Ruddy has not fully healed, but he is no longer the same broken person who arrived here. Sarah and Ruddy share a quieter farewell atmosphere. Their feelings remain unfinished, but the emotional honesty between them has grown. As the sun rises over the mountains, Ruddy begins to understand that he cannot stay frozen in this grief forever. The world is still wide, and his search for Zenith still matters. The third act closes with Ruddy moving forward. Volume 7 is not a full cure, but it is the first serious step out of the darkness Eris left behind. Event 12, Drinking, Despair, and Honesty. Ruddy stands before the mountains again, ready for another dangerous expedition. This section emphasizes that the Northern Arc is about repeating hardship until survival becomes habit. Inside a frozen cave, Ruddy reaches out to help an injured companion. The scene captures one of the volume's core lessons: saving others can sometimes help a person rediscover himself. The cave opens into a dangerous passage where the party must move carefully. The unknown ahead feels both physical and emotional, because Ruddy is still navigating his own darkness. A monster appears in the cave, forcing Ruddy to act instantly. His magic lights up the darkness, turning fear into motion. Sarah charges into battle, proving again that she is not helpless. Her fierce courage explains why Ruddy respects her even when their relationship is painful. Event 13, Moving forward with stepped leader. After the danger passes, Sarah looks at Ruddy with warmth. Their bond is messy, but this smile shows that the connection between them was never meaningless. At the campfire, they share food and quiet conversation. The warmth of the scene feels earned after so many cold, lonely nights. Under the stars, Ruddy and Sarah speak more openly. The night sky gives the moment a gentle feeling, as if both of them are finally able to breathe. Ruddy begins to smile again. It is a small change, but in this volume a small smile can mean enormous progress. Sarah's own smile shows that she too is ready to move on. Their relationship does not become a perfect romance, but it leaves behind something valuable. Event 14, A New Reputation. As Quagmire, their goodbye is filled with hesitation and unspoken feeling. Volume 7 treats it as bittersweet, not a clean victory or a complete failure. Ruddy holds a small keepsake and reflects on what happened. The object becomes a reminder that even painful connections can leave behind proof that he mattered to someone. Sarah looks away, embarrassed and hurt, but not hateful. Her feelings are complicated, and that complexity makes her part of the story feel human. Ruddy leaves the town once more, but this time he is not exactly the same. The loneliness is still there, yet it no longer has total control over him. Soldat gives Ruddy one last rough piece of support. He may not be gentle, but he helped Ruddy survive a season of life that could have destroyed him. Event 15, Rudius chooses to continue. The farewell between Ruddy and Soldat carries respect. Soldat's blunt kindness became one of the unexpected anchors of this volume. Ruddy stands in the open snow, facing the future. His journey is not healed completely, but he has regained enough strength to choose his next direction. In the distance, the next destination waits. The path toward Renoa Magic University and the later cure for his condition begins to feel possible now. Volume 7 is a quiet but essential turning point. It shows Ruddy at one of his lowest emotional points, then slowly rebuilds him through work, friendship, failure, and small acts of kindness. By the end, Ruddy has not forgotten Eris and he has not fully escaped his pain, but he has survived it, learned from it, and taken the first real step toward a new life beyond heartbreak. Event 16, Pope returns slowly in the snowy north. Counter Arrow becomes more than just an adventuring party for Ruddy. They offer routine, laughter, and companionship at a time when he is still emotionally numb after Eris's departure. The party's warmth does not instantly heal him, but it gives him a place where he can function again. Their banter and teamwork slowly pull him away from complete isolation. Sarah's presence becomes especially important. She challenges him, frustrates him, and makes him feel noticed in a way he is not fully ready to accept. The winter setting reflects Ruddy's emotional state. Everything is cold, difficult, and slow, but small fires of connection begin appearing through the people around him. This expanded event highlights why Volume 7 works as a recovery arc. Ruddy does not become happy immediately, he survives by finding small human connections in a harsh place. Conclusion. After the dangerous snow expedition and the rescue of Sarah, Ruddy begins to believe he might be able to move forward. But his trauma and physical condition turn a hopeful moment into another painful misunderstanding. Sarah misreads Ruddy's reaction, and Ruddy cannot properly explain what is happening inside him. The emotional gap between them opens quickly, even though both are hurting in different ways. The argument cuts deeply because Ruddy had started to see Counter Arrow as a place of possible healing. Instead, he is reminded that recovery is messy and that his wounds are not gone. When Ruddy leaves the North, the farewell carries a bittersweet feeling. Counter Arrow mattered, Sarah mattered, but this was never going to be his final destination. This expanded ending makes Volume 7 feel complete. Ruddy leaves still wounded, but not frozen in place. The experience prepares him for the next phase at Renoa Magic University.